Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new style of tournament that we'll be playing over the next few months, I believe. StoneBlade are hosting an official league. It goes from October 6th to November 3rd for the first round, but I do believe they're doing rounds every month up until February, going by the looks of this event. But yeah, the way it works is basically you play one opponent each week in a best of three, and it's a very interesting style because every player comes in with 4 decks. Have to use each faction twice over those 4 decks, and then each currently released set has to be used at least once over those 4 decks as well. And what comes out really interesting in this format as well is that, losing my words here, you get to ban one of your opponent's decks, whichever one you don't want to play the most, and then you get to choose what deck you go into the battle with after that. And if you win with a deck, you can't use that deck again. If you lose with the deck, you can use that deck again, but if you win with one, you can't. So yeah, it's gonna make an interesting kind of little metagame just in each weekly battle as well. So that's pretty cool. It's a very interesting concept, kind of like a Pokemon Draft League that I do in my other videos. So yeah, it's definitely a cool concept, I think. What makes it more interesting as well is that over all the decks, if you're using rare or higher cards, you can't use them again in multiple decks. So you can have as many of them as you want in a single deck. So 2 Shamblers, 3 Shamblers if you can get them in there, all in the same deck, no problem. Like you can't use the rare creature or the rare modifier again. So if you have 2 Shamblers, you can't use a Shambler in another deck. You can use a shambling modifier though, if you haven't used that in the same deck as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, definitely going to be an interesting week. Interesting month, and so if you win 3-1 or 4-0, you get to go into an invitational event that will be happening in February, end of February, with prizes as well. So very interesting, very cool. Definitely looking forward to this. But yeah, I guess we'll have a look at the decks that I have submitted for usage. And if you're not really sure on the concept, then we'll definitely be able to cover it a bit more there. That one. And these two up here, I believe, the ones with the hearts on the first screen, are the ones that I will be playing. So as you can see, I have Uterra Aloyan, Necrium, Tempest, and Uterra. And so everything is being used twice. Every faction is being used twice. I don't think you can check what set they're from here, but like both of these ones are set 1, I believe. I've got a set 2 deck in this deck. That's my RSE, Rumblespark Elemental. I believe this one is a set 3 with the River of Souls, and set 4 in my Tempest deck here. I think most of the others, all the other ones are set ones, but I'm running mostly set ones, I believe. Unsurprisingly, in general strength, I feel like set one is probably the strongest. But anyway, we'll go over the decks and while I've chosen them. Now. The reason I'm not running RSE in a red purple, which is objectively the strongest pairing for it, is because I was already running a red purple deck with this Grimgaunt Predator Sacrifice Chamber blasting deck, and I still wanted to run blue purple as well. If I had a good scientist deck or something like that, but I've got this deck which has been doing okay for me as well. So yeah, hopefully that one will be alright. And then I had to fill out the green-blue as my last deck. That was the last choice. And I got a really nice Darkforge Drain and like 4 spells, Darkforge Drain at cycle 2. And then I had I've got my good old Betrayer Mantis deck with Inspire 2 here and Steel Rosetta, so I can get 2 Mantises, Darkforge Drain, and I think it's like 7 spells overall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is pretty reliable on getting a decent Darkforge Drain off. And then like Mega Gizmos and Mega Gizmo with Upgrade Enhance at cycle 4. Being able to get that a cycle early with the Mantises is really nice as well. Mantises obviously are really strong. Being able to use the Forgeborn abilities, these guys are never being printed again probably outside of set 1 decks. Unless they figure out a way to nerf them, which, I mean, in my opinion, could be done fairly simply by just making it so that you can only activate Mantises, like you can only activate the Forgeborn ability once per turn. Because, like, theoretically, if you didn't have these guys, you could only activate these once per cycle. But yeah, if you have the Mantises and stuff, and like reanimating them and stuff like that can get out of hand quite quickly. If you could only activate it once per cycle, that would stop these from being too strong, but still giving them lots of utility and value. Anyway, Combat Battlehide, a nice, reliable, big attacker. I'll be able to mess with the opponents is nice as well. Like drop them into the back lane or yeah, anything like that. Kindred Matriarch is not necessarily the most useful Kindred creature, but it is nice to have it in this deck. It goes really well with the Spring Dryad, and the Shifting Rex can be helpful with it too. You get the Shifting Rex and the Spring Dryad out on a turn or something like that, and then the Kindred Matriarch comes in and it can get really strong. Because like if you play the Spring Dryad and then the Kindred Matriarch after that, it'll buff itself essentially with the life gain that the Spring Dryad will give. Shifting Rex is going to be nice. Like the level 1's not too strong, but level 2 does get a little bit better, and that'll support the Matriarch pretty nicely. Taliesin can get some free plays and stuff like that, and like can be really useful in getting the buff on the Kindred Matriarch. I mean, it's not going to happen all the time, but there is that possibility, right? So you can make your opponent get down to less than 3 cards. And I mean, if people are playing super good decks that pump out a lot of cards anyway, having the Kindred Matriarch there to get that buff if they go less than 2 card, less than 3 cards is good anyway. Apocalypser, obviously, like with the minions and stuff, that could be useful if I'm having to replace stuff. Bright Silk Gargoyle is unfortunately probably the least useful card in this deck. War Machine, because I do have some replacement synergy with Drix and stuff, is probably the second least. But yeah, Bright Silk Gargoyle, I would really like that to be like another spell or something, if I could in this deck. An Electronet or Sonic Burst, or something that's gonna create me some value. Like Bright Steel Gargoyle, don't get me wrong, can still be quite useful, but yeah, it's not the most useful thing I could have in this deck. Even other creatures, there's plenty of other creatures I'd like instead of this: a Tinker, an Inventor, Metamind, Overseer. Yeah, but Drix I love, obviously. Super good in this deck. Just, yeah, spread some minions around for the Apocalypser to get some replacement. All that kind of fun stuff. Palladium Hintermind. If I can have another mage out, being able to give something armor and move it out of harm's way and stuff like that is quite useful. So I think my other mages are literally Talasan and the Voltaic Prophet. So the mage synergy is limited, but look, even just the armor can be enough to save Drix and allow him to get another minion out, stuff like that. So not bad in that aspect. Recycling Mantis, if I replace that on a minion or something like that, starts getting out of hand as well, along with obviously being able to use the Forgeborn ability. Voltaic Prophet, really useful as well. It can be very hard to deal with if you've got the spells, and it's not even only if you've got spells, it's if your opponent plays spells too. Yeah, which is quite useful. Like a decent big body, like a 6 and then 8 with armor, 6/8 with when the armor is activated. There's not much that can get rid of that in cycle 1. And it only gets better in cycle 2 and 3. And then War Machine, obviously, if I get the value from replacing that, I can, but otherwise it can be a big blocker as well, block a couple of turns with that 2/10. And then there's just a couple of useful spells. Druid's Chant, for a little bit of life gain. If I can keep my life up, getting that Oak Father out in cycle 3 is cool. Lead the Charge can be used to buff up Bricks, to keep him alive and get another minion out. Talasan, so I can play another free card if needed. If I have one of my Mantises out and I play and I played the Mantis on that turn, I can use Lead the Charge to ready it again and get another use of that Forgeborn ability. Might of the Herd can be game saving sometimes with that little aggressive block a stealth attacker, attack off Forge to get a last amount of damage through, but also it can buff my dinosaurs of the Shifting Rex and the Kindred Matriarch, right? Axe Blessing, once again, just a nice little buff spell, or play a minion to block a lane. Energy Prison, get some upgrade and lower some attack. It's come in handy quite a lot of times. Force Field, basically the only thing that is useful to play on is the Apocalypser to try and keep that alive. I don't have any warriors in the green half, and the only other warrior is the War Machine, but Force Field to keep the Apocalypser alive for more turns is also quite nice. And then Warmonger Mod, if I can get that leveled up through either playing it for value early or energy prising it to upgrade it. Warmonger Mod to play a minion, get a creature out is really nice, because like if I've got that with the Apocalypser, I can like play the Gizmo minion, play out the Apocalypse, and then play something onto the Gizmo minion on the next hand. Or if I have the Voltaic Prophet, I can send that out after the Gizmo minion is played as well. And then it counts as a spell as well, so I can put the armor on it straight away. So, excuse me. You will notice that there is quite a lack of removal in this deck, so that is something I need to be worried about as well. But, I mean, hopefully Apocalypse can put in that Shifting Rex if I need with the Battlehide and the Kindred Matriarch. Can remove stuff as well. And also, this deck does a lot of work when my opponent doesn't have removal either. Especially like if I can play a lot of spells and then get like 1, 2, 3 Dark Forge drains off from my Forgeborn abilities, especially mid to late game. That can be quite devastating. I don't think I have a lot that can break through with that Dark Forge drain. I think the only thing is like Oakfather minions coming out from the Druid's Chant or the Pax Blessing. But like there is that option as well, so I think like I don't really have any stealth either, right? No. So yeah, it's just this deck kind of wins by attrition, holding out, gaining some health, getting big creatures on the board that is hard for my opponent to remove. So yeah, this probably won't be my first choice to use, but I still think it has good competitive potential if I ban out opponents' decks that have a lot of removal. My next deck up is, let's go have a look at the RSE Breakthrough. Oh yeah, so I guess I should also say, so obviously Mantis is rare, that's what the yellow is here. Too much talking, goddamn. So I can't use them in another deck. I can't use Matriarch or Kindred in another deck, seeing as the ring outside is yellow as well, so that means it's rare as well. Rex I cannot use. Talasan I can't use. Apocalypse I can't use. Right, still Gargoyle, Drix, Mantis obviously. Can't use Might of the Herd, and that's it for all the ones that I can't use from this in the next decks. But I think there's very little that overlaps in any of my decks anyway, but okay, so next up we have my Rumble Spark deck with Summon the Swarm, Gale Surge, Stimbolt. I'm running it with Sunder. Summon the Swarm is really useful to try and force the Rumble Spark out. Yeah, since they are elementals, right? So, which is how the Rumble Spark comes out, if elementals do damage. So we've got an Arrogant Shardback, not the most useful Shardback that we could have, but, you know, it does stop my opponent from throwing around things like Firestorm and stuff like that just willy-nilly. It does threaten that a little bit. Charger Mammoth is really quite useful, because if that gets put in the RSE, the Rumble Spark, embodiment Exalt lane. Like if I get this plus Nova Elementalist on the first turn, unless they've got something with 8 health or more, and they call the block, then it's quite possible, or they have removal or something like that, it's quite possible that I just get my IRC up straight away. Because of the aggressive breakthrough that it gives to the creature that replaces it. So if I replace the Nova Elementalist over the Charge Mammoth and then play the Rumble Spark Energy underneath them, I've got an 8-9 breakthrough that's hopefully going to be able to get that over the line. Fleet Evoker, I do play a few spells with this deck, so if I have one of these out, just starting to buff it up can be nice as well. Once again, this deck plays well into a lack of removal, though it does have its options when there is removal around as well. Like, obviously, if I can flip the Rumble Spark at some point, works really well into level gated removal, right? But yeah, and then we got Rageborn Eruptor. So Nova Elementalist plays an Exile. If I play the Rageborn Eruptor out, it gets an attack buff. And then it's got the breakthrough as well. So it's another thing that can flip the Rumble Spark Energy as well, which is, yeah, just always nice to have. Around here, Elementalist, if I can get a replacement off, get a free spell, but even if I just play this for trading in Cycle 1, that is good as well, because it just gets better as it levels up. And playing spell, it just gets to play a spell for free, and then every turn it can play a spell for free with the activate. We got Windy Razortooth as well, so if I'm going into something with some life gain, this makes it better, but also I'm playing a few spells every now and then as well, so getting the free ping damage with the Windy ability here as well is nice. Glowhive Siren, just a nice big body, can trade with a lot of things, or live through a lot of things as well. Pack Bartok is a weird one because you kind of want to play it last, but you kind of want to play it first. Because like if you play it last, it gets a massive attack buff, but you want to play it first so that you're buffing another creature after it or something, right? But if you have a couple of creatures out, play this and then play another creature after it. Yeah, it can be hard to manage. Sated Basher, I haven't had much luck with getting the Sated to proc, just because, like, I think like the Glowhive Siren's pretty much the only other life gain I have in this deck, so being above 50 is hard to do. But it is breakthrough, breakthrough, breakthrough. 3 breakthrough creatures. If I can get some buffs on them as well, gives me an ability to put them in the Rumble Spark energy lane as well, and just break through things, and so that it's hard to stop me from flipping that as well. Flamejet for a free spell to buff the attack of the Rumble Spark embodiment, or any of the Wisp minion spell sprites that I play. Ice Storm just for some ping damage, and for like being able to clear multiple lanes if I can. That can give quite some nice value too. Ferocious Roar, I generally can have 2 to 3 creatures out pretty consistently with this deck, so being able to get a nice buff onto all of those is very nice too. Forge Seal, kind of like the Mantis, lets me use my Forgeborn ability more than once, and it lets me use it early, so I can get the extra Spell Sprite minions in the first cycle, and pressure that way as well, which is really cool. Listen rain to buff minions. So if I manage to get my spell swarms out, spell sprites out early and then buff them, yeah, pretty cool. Nap time, a nice defensive ability. Do have a little bit of life gain here as well. For the Sated Basher, I guess, but once again, it's definitely not a major thing. But being able to turn off enemy creature ungated abilities is really nice as well. The only other exile I have is the Spirit Golem Conclave, but that's, yeah, not too bad. And then Vinelash here as well. Just being able to battle and strike creatures can be decent removal too. Clear the way for one of my creatures to flip the Rumblespark energy lane, I guess, into the embodiment. So yeah, so it's probably not the most effective RSE. It could definitely be a red-purple with like Darkheart Sorcerer and Vampiric creatures and stuff like that. But to make all the decks that I wanted to play fit, this is the Rumblespark deck that I managed to come up with. And, you know, who knows, people might just see the Rumblespark and decide that they want to ban that and not deal with that. And then I've got my other decks that I think are pretty decent too. I've had decent success with them in the random queue, like in the queues. I don't think they're unbeatable or anything, but yeah, I definitely want to get some more competitive testing on these decks. So yeah, if Rumblespark draws some bans and lets me play my other ones, that's good. Otherwise, yeah, I can still definitely consider this deck playable. So once again, I do like a little bit of removal as well, but like the Ice Storm and the Vinelash are useful in that aspect, and Nap Time to stall out and stuff like that can be quite good too. And obviously Evoker is not usable. Nova Elementalist is not usable because it is red. It is a... Oh, well, it's a soulbind, so they count as they count as rare plus. Elementalist is rare, windy, and Razortooth are both rare, so I can't use either of those. Hack cannot use. Sated cannot use. Flamejet cannot use. Ferocious Roar, Forge Seal, Nap Time, and then obviously the Soulbind that comes with the Nova Elementalist is also unusable in any more decks. But once again, I'm not really crossing over too much because my other Tempest is set 4, which is my Grim Blast Rush deck, which I've had a lot of fun with in queue as well. It's when it goes off, it really goes off. So very important part of that is the Thunderbolt here at the start of cycle 2. One of your creatures blasts 5. The other one's not as important, but it's still quite useful. Blastin' Waterweaver is Blastin', can't use that in any other decks, but once again, this is my second Tempest deck, so I can't do any more Tempest decks. Chasing, Frostfall Chasing can't be used, but yeah, it's not. Frostack, I guess Blastin' is useful. And the body on this is not bad either. Can trade with a lot of things just from the high attack, and the blast as well can make up the difference if it's struggling. Chasing Frostfall obviously is not very good at level 1, but having aggressive and mobility, it can block stealth creatures and stuff like that for a turn, and being able to move around and be annoying is nice as well. And then, like, if we get to level 3, the level 3 body for it is not terrible either. A lot of the plan for this deck relies on Frosttack, Kragor, and Temperamental Frostberry here. Not as much Kragor, he's more of a support for these two. But yeah, Frosttack, one of your creatures loses Defender and gets aggressive this turn, is very useful in this deck for what I'll go into when we get to the Grimgaunt Predator. And same with the Frostbearer, helps with the Grimgaunt Predator a lot as well. Kragor supports these two Yetis by letting them use their larger HP as offensive abilities instead, right? I need to watch out for if I want to play this deck, I need to watch out for suppressing and stuff like that. Because obviously a lot of my stuff has low attack, but yeah. The fact that these three are all defenders as well lets me get a lot of blasting ping damage from the Frostbearer too, which is very cool. So yeah, I rely on these three Yetis a lot in making this deck work. And then Vitalized, StoneBlade, and Hammerbearer. Once again, the Hammerbearer is aggressive, so blocking stealth creatures is cool. And the fact that Blast can hit stealth creatures as well is pretty cool. So I do have ways of stopping stealth creatures from getting damaged through too easily in this deck. And then if I'm on Forge, these guys letting me play a spell as well is cool. Though it doesn't happen all the time. But the fact that I've got two of them is it's hopefully going to happen at least once, more often than not. It just depends if I've got the spell in my hand at the time. Yeah, but both of them still have a lot of utility outside of being able to play that spell as well, so that is good. Covetous Bloodlord is one of those creatures that you never really want in a deck. It's not the worst in this because it does give me some stealth. And then in my spells and stuff, I do have some ways of raising attack, or like if I'm stealing attack from like Kragor or Frosttack or something like that, it doesn't really matter because they can, in the end, they can use their HP as an attack stat instead. So it's not the worst deck to actually have this in, but there's plenty of other creatures I would rather have it instead, right? But yeah, Gloom Reaper Hag, nice body, just get a little bit of ping damage when it dies. Can generally trade up in a lot of situations or block a high attack, low HP creature pretty easily. Grimgaunt Predator is also the main part that this deck revolves around. Because obviously when this damages a player, destroy up to one level 1 enemy creature, level 1 or 2, and level 3. So if I can get this out, and then I can ping with the Frostbearer, or if I can ping with Thunderbolt, it can get that damage through on my turn rather than in the combat phase, which can become quite unblockable, right? And Frosttack, if I'm on a defensive, if I'm off Forge, and I play Frosttack first into the Grimgaunt Predator after, I can give the Grimgaunt Predator some aggressive and yeah, get some surprise kills in that instance as well. Haunting Skeleton is just a fine body, but if I can level it up, 2020 in Cycle 3 is good. Nerali Engulfer is just a nice high attack body if I need it. And then sometimes we'll get some value with the Exalted Activate here. Not super often because I don't have a ton of Exalts. I've got Chanting of the Abyss and Sacrifice Chamber, but yeah, and then Spirit Reaver can be surprisingly annoying to deal with in some situations too. So definitely not a bad addition. If I could get like a Blight Witch or Spite Maiden or something like that instead of the Covetous Bloodlord, sorry, that would definitely improve this deck a little bit. But yeah, this is definitely one of my best Grim Gaunt Predator Sacrifice Chamber decks, I believe, because Chanting the Abyss can be surprisingly useful sometimes as well to give something, especially like one of my Yetis, some extra HP to get a big hit off in that aspect, or if I want to keep my Grim Gaunt Predator alive, can be good too. Stoneheart Plate is very nice to put on the Grim Gaunt Predator, give it some extra HP to survive a hit, and allow it to get aggressive off Forge and stuff like that as well for some more surprise attacks. Tempest Loyalty, it's quite often that I will have 2 Tempest creatures out, just from the fact that the Yeti is a defender and they can sit there quite easily without being threatened too much. So being able to get some free attack on something is also very nice. And then I've got the 3 Yetis, and so Violent Rampage, give one of them 4 attack, and then if it's a Yeti, it blast equals to its attack. So like imagine like Temperamental Frostbearer, 9 attack in cycle 1 with a blast. That's going to clear pretty much anything out of its way. Frost Attack 6 is going to clear a lot. Kragor 4, like, it's not going to probably clear a lot, but it can save it from some stuff. I do like this spell package. There is one spell that I would really like as well, is like attach it to something, it blasts. That would be really nice to put onto my Grim Gaunt Predator, but yeah. Then we got Dreadbolt, just for some relatively reliable removal. Yeah, it comes in useful more often than not. Restless Dead is also super useful. Bring back my Grim Gaunt Predator if it gets killed. Can be tough to deal with in that situation too. As I said, Chanting of the Abyss, giving some stuff some extra health is nice. But then Sacrifice Chamber is the last part of this combination. So as we said, if we get the surprise ping damage and stuff with the Grim Gaunt Predator, if it is in a Sacrifice Chamber lane, it goes crazy and it can clear boards, etc. Because every time that it gets the Slay, deal 5 damage to an enemy player to gain 5, or like, well, whatever level it's at. Every time it hits that, it counts as doing damage, so it can kill a creature, and then if it's in the lane, it kills the creature. It can basically cycle through it until there's no targetable creatures left on the field, whether that be higher level than what the Grim Gaunt Predator can take out, or there's nothing left. So yeah, it can be quite a strong combination when it goes off, though there's a lot of parts that you need to be lucky enough to get them all. And then there's Mithril, but yeah, I mean, hopefully with this deck, games don't go long enough that comes into play. And I mean, even if it does go that long, chances are I've missed one of the levels of it somewhere, so it's going to be cycle 4 and still like unplayable. But yeah, this deck has been really fun for me, so I'm hoping that this one can pop off for me too. And then for my last deck, I'm going Eloyan Necrium, my favorite combination. But it is, I mean, I do have a scientist here, but I'm not playing scientists. I've got knockback. A lot of stooly abilities here, right? Knockback, making something drop attack, armor on stuff. One of my creatures, a lot of attack and armor as well. All really useful abilities. But yeah, it's Ironbeard, so there's obviously one of the least popular Forgeborns, but I think in this situation, this is a decent setup for me. As the name of the deck says, it's Reanimate, Pulse Mage, attack drops. I don't think there's really actually a lot of attack drops in here. I mean, yeah, the only attack drops is really the knockback ability here, but it's all I need. Camouflage Virtuoso got some stealth here, so it can be annoying to deal with, and at level 3 it's got a decent attack and health. So Epoch Hawk, being able to keep things alive and be really annoying and stuff like that is useful for sure. Forge Plate Yeti for a little bit of ping damage here and there, or if I draw after having my shields up or my reinforce, can be very useful removal. Or even after playing after my Palladium Hintermind as well. Can be decent removal there as well. Palladium Pulse Mage is really useful. One of my favorite creatures for sure. And just being able to play it down and clear something if your opponent only has, like, you can play it pretty much like a Dreadbolt, or if you play it around like a Rallying Inventor or something like that, you can sacrifice something else so that you can get another kill with the Pulse Mage on a different turn. Rallying Inventor, really nice in reanimation decks, because look, if you play this into, it plays its minion, and then you can reanimate it over its minion and stuff like that. Getting that rallying out can be super useful too. Stabilizing Scavenger is going to be great into any Darkforge Drain decks or anything like that that I might come across, or anything that wants to do some buffing. This can be game saving, especially since obviously I'm reanimating stuff as well, so being able to bring it back when I need it can be quite useful. Steel Eye Researcher can be quite annoying to deal with when I've got the Rallying Inventor bringing out some minions and stuff like that. And the other half has some minion support too, which is cool. Arrogant Reaper can be quite useful to get a trade or two off. And then if it does manage to stay alive or whatever, anything that is doing damage gets an attack buff, so definitely have to be worried about something like this. So if I have like the Camouflage Virtuoso out, they can't block it, and then the Arrogant Reaper comes out as well. That can be some nice attack buffs onto something like that, etc. Same with the Graveborn Caller, it's got a stealth as well. Can be enough tough to deal with. One of the few cards that I am doubling up on, but obviously it's common, which is the blue here. So I'm allowed to do that. Not a problem. Yeah, but Graveborn Caller summons some minions out to help buff the Steel Eye Researcher and stuff like that. Can be very annoying to deal with too. The Shambling Summoner is very annoying and half the point of this deck, because I got a lot of spells in here as well. So this can summon. This generally summons a lot of minions to help buff the Steel Eye Researcher and stuff like that as well. And Stalking Deathseeker, if they remove something, this can get some value in that aspect. But once again, it's aggressive, it's stealth, so it can be a little bit annoying. Can block other stealth attackers. Cyprian Augmentation. Give all of my creatures 4 armor, so that plays into the Steelplate Yeti or whatever it is. Once again, but also because I've got the Shambling Summoner, buffing that with armor, like that's 110. It gets its little minion out. It does 2 damage to all enemy creatures as well. That can be quite a game-changing ability. Quite a game-changing spell to play. I think the only other mage I have the 2 Palladiums, which is yeah, 3 mages with the Cyprian Augmentation is not terrible. Gauntlets of Solgrim, once again, a little bit of damage, give armor to the Shambling Summoner to keep it alive. Yeah, is once again a pretty useful spell. Once again, this, I got the Dreadbolt, so I don't necessarily lack on removal. So all of my decks are relatively playable. Dark Pryings is pretty cool. Chuck that onto the Shambling Summoner. And then if like the Pulse Mage kills itself with its ability, then the Shambling Summoner will do damage, which will let me reanimate the Pulse Mage back, and it can kill something again or hold on to next turn. It's stuff like that. So Dark Pryings is quite useful in this deck. Dreadbolt, as I said before, always quite useful. Hungering Strike can definitely switch a lot of trades up. And with the fact that Shambling Summoner gets to summon minions when I use spells, like it's definitely a lot of value can be gained in that aspect too. Also, it allows me to help choose what creatures on my side the Palladium Pulse Mage is going to have to kill. And then Infernal Ritual, like if I want to kill something so the Stalking Deathseeker can get some value, or like get a lot of minions out from the Shambling Summoner, that helps support the Steel Eye Researcher as well. That's pretty neat. And then River of Souls, it allows me to basically bring back anything that I want that I've played when I want to. Obviously, Cycle 1 is just minions, but that also, once again, helps the Steel Eye Researcher. But then I can bring back the Scavenger, I can bring back the Palladium Pulse Mage, I can bring back the Rallying Inventor, even if something's in that lane, to give everything a buff. Forgeplate Yeti if I've got armor out, Epoch Hawk if I want to keep something else alive. There's a ton of different options that the River of Souls can help me with in this deck. So that would be the 4 decks that I'm going into this tournament with. We'll see how we go. If I can get 3 or 4 wins over the course of this month, I will definitely be quite happy with that. Get into the Invitational, and then I'll be able to try some stuff, some other interesting stuff for the next few months of the tournaments as well. But very cool, very cool. That's the 4 decks I will be playing with. And I guess the next video on this topic will be my first week's opponent, which I believe is Jerry Bear. So in the next video, we'll go over what decks of his, what the decks of his are, and what one I don't want to play, and I guess we'll see what he wants to ban of mine, and there'll probably be the battles in that game as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you over the course of this season.